Hopefully some people will be here later to join in, but if it's just me tonight, that's fine. Go ahead and transition over here. Okay, turn that down a little. Okay, so tonight I just kind of wanted to have a chill, stressful, non trying to get everybody like assembled and everything set up properly stream. And I always wanted to do this podcast with my friend Evie, but we never just got time to do it. Maybe they might be here later. They kind of like to pop in and out, so don't know yet, but so what I basically did is I looked up convention stories. There's a couple Reddits. There's a Tumblr here of convention horror stories and a thread on cosplay.com. And then a forum post on TV tropes. So basically a bunch of places have different stories like this. I thought I would just kind of go through some of these and, talk about them, talk about stuff that I've dealt with in the past. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. So, where is my thingy bob? So this... Nope, that's not what I wanted. I wanted this. Then I want the browser thing up. Wait, where's the... This one. This one. This. What is going on? Oh, it's because I don't have this up? There we go. A friend of mine, Mio, provided some of this footage. This is just Anime Central walkthrough. I figured we could have this running while I'm reading some of these stories. And in the background I have some just some 8-bit anime music going, because that just feels like something appropriate for this. So let's get started. Okay, so first things was... What was the first one? Let's see, so we have Tales from the Convention, cosplayers, Reddit, Let's go from Tales of the Convention. We have, what's the weirdest thing that ever happened to you at con? Top comment here from French Vanilla 778. I went to Comic-Con with my best friend, and she wanted to go to a whole bunch of panels, but didn't have a lot of wanted to go to a whole bunch of panels I didn't have a lot of interest in, but she had other friends that wanted to go with her, so she said she'd be okay on her own. I ended up volunteering at a booth selling horror/heavy metal t-shirts and comics for a while. And the guy was super happy to be able to leave the booth for a little bit to go meet some actors/check some other booths out. A guy running the booth to the side was one volunteering who was at least in his 60s and kept trying to ask me out. Eventually he asked me to go behind the building and smoke weed with him while he was wearing a dead baby mask. I politely declined, and he gave me his business card for his personal cell phone written on it. I had just turned 18. Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't know much about Comic-Con itself. Here we just have Dallas Fan Expo, which I guess is kind of similar but not as big. And the creep factor used to be real bad back in the day. Like, I had some female friends who dealt with some real fucking weirdos. And, like, I'm not gonna pretend that I wasn't a bit weird, but I was the weird that was kind of standing back and observing stuff, so I probably creep people out just because I zone out and stare a bit, but I mean, I never like tried anything like this. By Ed Ventux. I was standing off to the side watching the crowd walk by, and I had a girl walk up to me and ask me out of the blue, "Have I molested you today?" And I did not even notice her until she asked the question. My response was, "What?" And she repeated the question, and I responded, "No," and I walked away as I am not into jailbait. She looked about 16, and I was 42 at the time, and I am happily married. This screams like 2005 convention. Like, this is the kind of stuff that comes from the era of, like, Glomp Me or the Yowie paddles or things like that. This seems like, but yeah, you know what? They say my story took place at Dragon Con as well in 2008. So yeah, this is like mid 2000s era anime conventions, and like that kind of just screams of like the kind of stuff that would happen. It's just people asking off the wall shit, usually completely inappropriate. I think this is a bit too early for the so how I consider it, I started going to conventions in 2005, and how I consider it is 2005 to like 2010. That was kind of the era of that was the beginning of anime starting to become mainstream, and that was the time when like it was very much a Wild West kind of thing at conventions. Booths were not as like set up or professional looking. There were like no businesses at convention booths. Like maybe there was maybe there was an anime distributor, like Funimation was one of our big ones because they were local. But like you'd get like Funimation, Media, like what's that anime company that like sells the porn and stuff? It's a Media Factory? Anime Max? It's something weird, but yeah, they would be there and they'd be selling like DVDs that look like bootlegs, but for the most part it was just like people, if you were in the artist alley, kind of like you're seeing in this video up here, it'd be people with like things to hang up their pictures and like little trinkets, and that's it. Like more complicated looking things were not like the norm. Actually, I'm gonna change up this video here because I have this Acon 23. This is old conventions. This Acon 23 would be Acon convention. Let's see what year this is. Acon 23 would be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Okay, so this is around like 2013. So this is like peak era, like, so this is kind of getting towards this, what, like my second era, which is like, this is around when I started hosting panels, and you would get a lot of, God, we did not have good video, because this is probably filmed on actual like video camera, because like while video was a normal thing on like phones, it was not really a like hugely common thing, and usually the video would be terrible quality. So this might be on phone, but this is Acon. This is when it was still at the Anatole. No, this would be before that. So this is probably 2012. This is probably the last year they were at the Sheraton. Like after that, they would move to the Hilton Anatole, and Anime Fest, which is later in the year, would move into this space. Oh god, they have this weird motion thing on, and it's kind of messing with my eyes. But at this point, like, this is as you can see, this is when Homestuck really started to come into frame. Booths started to have a more standardized look. Like, everybody would have the black like things to hang stuff on, like the shelving units. Everybody had started figuring out where to put figures, where to put t-shirts. So if this is 2012, this would have been my 8th A-Con that I went to at the time, because I went every year. I went every year until it stopped happening. Like, some years I would only go like a day or so. A lot of those times I would be like hosting a panel, but I still went like every year. Oh, you can tell it's in the middle of the pony era too, because you got the stupid little wings. Yeah, this is kind of like second era, where kind of like the Tumblr and online fandom space really started to blow up for stuff. So you would get, like, half the convention would be anime, and then half the convention would be whatever the popular, like, top 5 popular, like, online things were, which I think at this point is like Homestuck. It'd be Homestuck, it would be My Little Pony, it would be whatever, like, major Cartoon Network cartoon was on, and it would be like Super Who-Lock. It would be like the Supernatural, Doctor Who, and Sherlock at the time. So, like, those are the big ones that you would end up seeing a lot of around here. Anyway, sorry, I kind of went on a rant there, but, like, 2008 would be, like, right before that kind of transition into the more online heavy stuff. So, it was just, like, to get a table, you just basically had to ask for one at that point. At least here. I'm sure at, like, Comic-Con and, like, some of the bigger ones you still had to pay, but, like, it felt like you could just, like, walk in with your merchandise, set it up. As long as you didn't make a fuss, they wouldn't bother you about it. And people would walk around with, like, yaoi paddles and, like, spank cosplayers without warning. Or you would have people doing glomps, which is like a tackle hug because they saw an anime, and it would just it was literally just people being tackled. I'm glad that part of the era is not over, but holy crap, it was rampant at the time. And, like, free hug sign was another big one that always came around. It was ridiculous. I'm kind of, like, mesmerized this video because I'm trying to see if I know anybody, but I haven't seen anybody I recognize yet. But I'll get back to the stories. Congoers. Let's go into the congoers from cosplayers. So this is from Dabu Entertainment username. Not so much a horror story, but weird. Anyways, I went really non-super dressed up. Just had a little Kuma onesie. That's probably mid-2010s. Also don't look like a stereotypical congoer. So a lot of cool cosplays and stuff. A lot of lewd versions, quote-unquote. I would ask if I could take photos, keep my hands to myself unless prompted otherwise, and I was touched first and never inappropriately. But the weird part is damn people being fucking horny. A lot, like some dudes and girls, would be total creeps to cosplayers. Inappropriate touches, where you could see some disgust from the cosplayers. Anyway, the weird part, I guess, was I'm decently attractive, I think, and I wasn't a creep. Got a bunch of numbers during to hang out after con. Unfortunately, I couldn't due to having to drive an hour to go home for work the next day. Still keep in touch with some and game with some, but now when game with some still now when life doesn't get in the way. Under no illusion that initial phone numbers exchanges were not purely platonic. People were horn dogs out there, though. Watch out for creeps. So not exactly a particularly weird story, but yeah. I think one of the big turning points of conventions was uh, cosplay is not consent. That was the big thing. That was a big thing that kind of turned a lot of things around. And I remember like you would like start to see signs everywhere of like, hey, just because they're in cosplay, they're not allowed to just inappropriate touch them or like act out stuff that's in like a hornier anime. So I totally understand some of that shit. Let's go over to Tales from the Convention. Let's do, yeah, best post. Let's do, oh here, let's go back to the congoers. I have it on best, but let's do top. Okay. Oh. Let's do top comments. Alrighty. Oh, it's still pretty much the same. Okay, that's at Ventux. Wolfie Ecstasy. I was at a Midwest Fur Fest and was staying at an overflow hotel that happened to be hosting some sort of Christian event at the same time for some reason. I don't know why, but this happened all the fucking time. Like half of anime conventions at the same time would always host a Christian convention and in like the same space. It always fucking happened. Anime conventions, video game conventions, furry conventions. For some reason, the hotels always double booked their event space, and there was always a Christian convention happening at the same time. Don't know why the fuck that was. It just happened. Anyways, he says, we're in the elevator around midnight, heading to the main hotel to party, and this group of drunk Christians start giving us shit, and were trying to fight us, saying they were offended by our fursuits. We de-escalated best we could and got the fuck out of there. I was a bit scared because I was younger and 40 pounds lighter at the time, and these were full-grown men. Moral of the story, don't hold religious events at the same time as fur cons. They were incredibly rude to us all weekend, but this was the only time it really escalated past that for us, at least. Another thing that happened about a decade ago, I got dragged to a brony convention in Las Vegas because it meant I got to go to Vegas. We're at the dealer's den area, and my buddy was like, oh shit, that's Brayburn, who happened to be and still is a popular porn artist at the time. His wife, then girlfriend, was freaking out and got a picture with him, then posted to Twitter saying, oh my god, I met the voice actor for Brayburn. About an hour later, we see it, and had to inform her that was in fact not the voice actor for the character, but a porn artist. Other than that, I've had okay memories, blah blah blah. Okay. So now Christians, blah blah blah. Probably 20 years ago at the Motor City Comic Con, so that would have been to about 2000. That was 4 years ago, so 24 years ago. It's been like 2001 before I even started. Probably 20 years ago, this is posted by Den2842. Probably 20 years ago at the Motor City Comic Con, I saw a bunch of exhibitors hurriedly covering up a bunch of their tables with tarps. Turns out the police were there to crack down on illegal bootleg DVDs that pretty much nearly every booth was selling. I watched them cart out just boxes and boxes of DVDs that day. They still sell bootlegs. Like, that's not changed in the slightest. Like, I bought a bootleg collection of, oh, look at this. Someone has a pretty title for their thing. Akon 2015. This is at the Hilton Anatole. I don't know who's introducing this, but for some reason they have it sped up. So we're going to slow it down. There we go. That's normal speed. Oh, yep, this is prime Kill la Kill era. People loved cosplaying that. Oh, just in time to talk about this post from Fire in the Mountains. I was in contact with Vic Mignogna, over email for a few months beforehand just to send him a fan letter. I was 14, so you know. Anyways, he came to the Denver con and he wanted me to meet up with him. Lucky me, my ex friend ditched me, which was the start of the end of our friendship. And my dad took me and the other ditched friend instead. Dad shadowed me all day. He liked video games and anime anyways. When I went to get stuff signed by Vic, he took one look at my dad and said nothing, just signed my thing and looked away. Seems he was only cool meeting or acknowledging me if I didn't have an adult with me. I never responded to his last email after that, and his voice in any show makes me very uncomfortable. I was a kid. I didn't know any better. I'm 28 now, and was pretty vindicated by him getting me too'd. In a completely different story, the insanity of the Italia fans got Italia banned from Boston Anime Con. They had a Nazi salute just down the block from a Holocaust museum. Oh god, there's a picture of that. I don't think they did it down the block from a Holocaust museum. I think they did it at the Holocaust museum. Because there's a picture of them in front of a Holocaust monument doing a Hitler salute. Which, god, Italia was a mistake. Oh hey, Green Ranger. Green Ranger that never actually appeared because he was never a ninja. So that would have been... yeah. Because he was only a ninja... oh, that's nice. I want that. Because that's actually kind of a cool Megazord costume. And that's about how I would look if I was wearing a Power Ranger suit. Anyways, yeah. Oh, and then the replies of all this are just Vic stories. Scattered Collector says, so this is crazy. I'm sorry to bring him up, but I would like to make this mention. I was at Zenkai Con, and plenty of friends were there. We met up as well as we all came from different directions of the state and surrounding areas. We were talking, having a good time. Well, there was this rumor that Vic wasn't all there. Anyway, my friend would say, don't get close to Vic. He might have fun with you. And Vic is here. Didn't he do something to a girl a few years back? Keep in mind, these remarks were made at Zenkai Con 2010, where other A-list VOs were attending, such as Todd Habercorn. Crazy how it all came to light 8 years later. Yeah, he was, that's not new. Like, that was conversation that I had with friends in, yeah, like 2009, 2010. You would just hear, like, hey, like, this guy's weird. Like, he likes to hang out with, like, young fans, and not, like, in a cool way. He liked to just kind of be around, oh, I know that guy. He just liked to hang around young people, young girls. That was the main thing I would hear. Is like he would just like spend a lot of times, and he was very touchy-feely. I didn't hear any like sordid details, but I would just hear, if you're a girl, don't meet Vic because he's kind of a fucking weirdo. So I wasn't surprised when when everything came out about him, and I'm glad he's not fucking around anymore. Job come out. Another forum's quoting me. Yeah, like this girl goes into a lot more details, but I'm not gonna sit there and read all of it out because it's just fucking depressing. I hate that guy. I never personally met him. I did once insult Quentin Flynn behind his back. And when I say behind his back, I don't mean in secret. I mean I was literally walking behind him. And like he was just walking down the hallway in a stupid fucking cowboy hat. And I said, that guy's wearing a stupid goddamn cowboy hat in Texas. And apparently he was not happy with that. And then I learned later it was fucking Quentin Flynn. Got his autograph later. Not by me. A friend of mine got it, but yeah. I straight up insulted him because he was a fucking weirdo wearing a goddamn cowboy hat in the middle of fucking Texas when he's not from the goddamn state. And has probably never even fucking stepped in a goddamn field, much less a goddamn farm. Where's he from, anyways? American voice actor, blah blah blah. He's from fucking Cleveland. There you go, Mio. You got someone from your hometown. Ah. Let's see. Anyways, back to it. Oh, Cleveland's hours from you? Yeah, that makes sense. Do I have the, oh, you know what? I just realized I don't have the chat up because it's not where it usually would be. Properties. Matic. Which display? Let's try this one. This one? This one. No. This one. Oh, there it is. So it's the third one. I just have it down here. That's fine. Closest VA from my area is Clancy Brown, which is excellent because Clancy Brown fucking rules. There we go. Let's move that up. There we go. I can't really even go into like the closest VAs from my area because like a lot of anime voice actors come from this area because fucking Funimation was located in Dallas. So like I guess like the most prominent one would probably be Johnny Young Bosch because he like was literally like in the Garland area. So I think that would probably be my closest. But I mean, like, I'd say like half of voice actors you see are probably like Dallas locals. Half the major ones: Todd Habercorn, fucking all the Chris's, including the one who plays fucking Hercule, as you can see there. That'd be Chris Rager. So he's local Dallas. Chris. Fucking, there are so many goddamn Chris's in the fucking anime space. Alright, what do you got for me, TV tropes? Oh, they have some international ones. This is from 2020. In the 2012 Moscow Anime Fest Cha no Yu, some people were giving away fake discs with Everlasting Summer, which at the time didn't come out yet and was highly anticipated. The discs. Oh, I closed the chat. There it is. I'll just do this so it doesn't get covered. There we go. What anime is this for? Oh yeah, it's Bloody Stream. Fucking JoJo, obviously. Oh God, what are they showing in this clip? 2015. Oh, Five Nights at Freddy's. Nice. Pull this back up. Oh, oops. There we go. Sorry, I got like several windows open here. Anyways, Moscow Anime Fest, Chano Yu, Everlasting Summer at the time, which didn't come out yet and was highly anticipated. This actually contained malware that destroys the partition of a drive, turning data into a mess. People also stated that it showed some offensive messages about anime. This action had been carried out by an thankfully now defunct anime hating group Vataku, which means something like going to attack or let's attack. In their blog, they stated that they had so many discs they barely fit into a sports bag, and also said that they did favor to anime fans by making them go outside of their homes, thus giving them an actual everlasting summer. No, nobody tried to make police punish them legally. Russian police is useless. What's the point of even trying? This wasn't their first case of vandalism. At a previous Cha no Yu Fest, they burned a Japanese flag and shot people with water pistols, and they visited another 2012 fest with a banner with text "Anime is shit." God, I actually don't remember, like... Because that just reminds me, like, a lot of places would get, like, the anti anime or thing, like, Christians. I never got that. Like, we never really, or I never really saw them at my shows. Oh, dang, I forgot to, pull up there. There we go. Now you can see the chat. We never got there were some like Christian protesters, but like the problem is Akon. Well, when Akon was at like the Sheraton, it was smaller, but like Christian protesters was not a huge thing in the mid 2000s, at least for conventions. By the time like they started to become bigger, like after like, you know, after like what's it called, fucking that one Baptist group, that one Baptist hate group became bigger. They had moved to like the Hilton Anatole, which is fucking gigantic. There was no like central location to actually like protest in front of. Westboro, that's what it is. Yeah. By the time like Westboro had become like a bigger thing, there was like the convention spaces were way bigger. So like any kind of like Christian group or anything like that that tried to protest would end up like being a minority area, because like there was no like main place that people would enter or exit the area. Like at the Hilton Anatole there was like over like 10 entrances and like dozens and dozens of exits. So not really anything you could do about that. And they never really showed up at the smaller conventions, so it didn't really matter. So alrighty, we have Oh God, the Two Comic-Cons in Warsaw. This is by Not So Badass Longcoat on tvtropes.org. First, there were two of these planned on dates spread 2 weeks apart. One was supposed to be organized by some German company, another by a Polish one. The German one had their announcements on Facebook apparently translated from German to English to Polish via an automatic translator, leading to some ridiculous phrases like Maul, known for his cosplay of a snake from Metal Gear Solid. Snake is in the animal. And Seventh Doctor, doctor as in medical profession, not the doctor. Then, a month before the event, it was cancelled with the option to convert the tickets to ones for the other one. The other one was just as ridiculous. Several appearances, such as Charles Dance, who I've never heard of. Who's Charles Dance? Dance, Tywin Lannister. I never watched Game of Thrones. Is there anything I would know? Emperor Amir Var Emrys from Witcher 3. Never played it. So, anyways. They were cancelled. The transport was a nightmare. The rented buses were packed tighter than Beijing Metro at rush hour. And someone sent the local IRS after people who rented the stalls to sell handmade trinkets. Of course, fines for not keeping proper tax records were issued here. Alright, let's go to the cosplay.com one. Archive thread. Does it say when these posters were made? They do not, no. Your experience stuff. Okay, so on cosplay.com, user Soteria says, I've got one from AFO 2009. Oh, by the way, Evie, since you're in chat now, if you want me to share any particular stories that you remember that I also remember, just let me know, and I will tell them on here. Oh, what's this one? Acon 2022. Speaking at the Irving Convention Center. I recognize this area. God, they had like from 2015 to 2023 when they held their last convention, they had about 6 different locations, including Fair Park, which is where the Texas State Fair happens. So, I've got one from AFO 2009. I cosplay as Tsunade. I was waiting in line with one of my friends, and a guy dressed as Jiraiya wanted a hug. But then he tried pulling me into his lap in the worst way. I still shiver when one of my friends reminds me of that. Yeah, it sounds about 2009. Only real DisasterCon moments I can remember is striptease that was happening from children at A-Fest. The whole Sonic Con, which I don't think you were there for. I was not there for Sonic Con. I'm very sad about that. I heard it was an absolute, just terrible, terrible thing. I heard it was one room, barely anybody was there. Were there any celebrity guests, or was it only a couple vendors? My first time cross-dressing, going to a rave, and immediately getting grinded on by dudes. Yeah. First time I ever went to a rave. First and last time I went to a rave. I kind of stood awkwardly for a few minutes, because, I was, there with, you and a couple other people. You guys kind of disappeared immediately. And I kind of just stood there, awkwardly. Then I went and sat down, and there was a couple next to me just having, openly having sex. No real celebrities, most of the vendors at SonicCon left the second day because they weren't making any money. Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds like a very DashCon style convention, from what you told me about it. The main thing that would happen at our cons, and I hate it then, I hate it now, was hotel drama. After 8 p.m., when stuff at the convention started to die down, you would go back to hotel rooms, and every fucking night there was something fucking happening. I don't know why, I don't know what, but every fucking convention there was some argument, there was some issue, there was something happening. And it drove me fucking insane. not gonna name any names here, but there were definitely times when, like, I felt like I just would be, like, just sitting in a room and watching two people yell at each other for some fucking slight. I don't even remember the subject of most of these fucking arguments, but it would just happen. And it was usually a couple. It was usually someone that was dating another one. There's fucking Neko Neko Maid Cafe. Fucking hate that thing. They're still fucking running shit, by the way. But yeah, sorry, I've been off ADHD medication for like a week, and my brain is a fucking mess. I mentioned this in a previous stream, but goddamn, it would be, and there would be people that would get hurt emotionally most of the time, sometimes physically. I can't remember any physical ones off the top of my head, but I do know some fights happened in places. But yeah, it was, dude, conventions. I'm so glad when I got to like the age where I had like a stable job and like disposable income, so I could just have my own goddamn hotel room and not have to deal with people. Yeah. I will say about Evie's previous partner is that she was very vain and made everything about them. And a lot of time was wasted trying to, like, deal with their cosplays and overcomplications involving it, and it always made things worse. Sorry, I'm kind of like peeking up here just to keep an eye, because I walked around this convention a lot. Did we? I don't think we... No, we did. We did have a panel at this convention. I think it was actually one of our last before we, like, just stopped really doing panels, because I think I was burnt out and was... It was definitely after we had stopped doing Shit Otaku Say panels. But we were doing the fanfiction theater ones for a while. It's our best bad fanfiction theater, I believe. Yes, this was a really good one. Our worst was probably at Anime Dallas when I had less stuff than I needed and we couldn't fill the hour. Song Kaitel, yes. I guess it's kind of a bittersweet thing, but I remember our first one being pretty good. But I was also not there for half of it because I had to go to a funeral of one of my best friends. So after that, I went there back in the middle of it. I think it was like right after you guys had finished Kingdom of the Hill, which was like a Kingdom Hearts King of the Hill crossover. And I just remember at the time I was not mentally there because I just had a lot on my mind from where I had just come from, and like I tried really hard to not really like think about anything and just kind of let myself be in the moment. Ever run a panel that wasn't standing room only, which I find shocking. Yeah, we ran panels from like, oh God, when did we start? Like 2009, 2010? We started then, and every panel we ran was full. I think the closest we had to a bad panel, there was one night when we were still at the Hilton Anatole. For Sailor Moon, that was legit late too. Yeah, on that one first. On the DBZ vs Sailor Moon one. At that point, we had 2 panels already that weekend, because that was the year we decided Shotakusei was so popular. We decided we were going to do it 2 nights. We were going to do one night that was like all stories or all text posts, and then we were going to do one night that was like videos and stuff. And I think the video one is the closest we came to having a like less than full house. But also they put us in a room that was fucking gigantic. We filled up like, I'd say like 80 seats, but there was like 200 seats in that room. With the DBZ for Sailor Moon, we had run it under a different name, and we had said, well, we are exhausted. We can show up late and kind of gauge interest based on that. If there are enough people there, we'll stay in and we'll do the thing. Because we expected it to be like, because it was a Sunday morning. It was like Sunday at like 9 a.m. So we were like, okay, there's not going to be people that show up. Nobody goes to fucking panels at 9 a.m. on a Sunday. And yeah, we got there and the room was full. Like there was no seats available. There was people standing in the back. And like, I don't know why. Because I put it under our podcast name at the time, which was the That Cartoon Podcast. And there were still people there. They probably didn't know the podcast, but they wanted to discuss Sailor Moon versus Dragon Ball Z. And it was a... Yeah. Yeah, no, that was absolutely our bad. We were shitty panel hosts. We made them wait. We were late. And I apologize for that for anyone that was there. Anyways, I don't know where this tangent even started. I've just been watching this like walkthrough forever. Yeah, we had stopped doing Shirotaku Says panel around like 2015, I would say. What year was this? This is 2022. Yeah, so they were at the Irving Convention Center the last few years. This is probably the second to last year they had run panels. I think we had run them up until like 2019. I would actually say is probably the last year we ran a panel, because after that was the COVID year, and after that I never ran a panel again. I think partly on my end was because like 2020 I got, we stopped right before COVID. Yeah. 2020 was that year I had gotten like laid off, and like conventions stopped being a real huge priority for me. And then after that, conventions just started fucking disappearing. Like COVID years, of course, like they had to take a break and stuff, but 2023, I think, was the last year that Akon ran a convention. Anime Fest stopped doing them last year. Those were the two big ones. There's still Anime Dallas. We ran... Nope. Evie, that's incorrect. We ran one panel at Anime Dallas, and that was the emptiest we've ever had a panel. I just remembered this because... And even though I mentioned it earlier, I just kind of thought about it again. Last time we ran an anime panel, because that was the convention that happened at the Hilton near the giant ball near the Reunion Tower, and we went there just because we were nostalgic about being at a convention there. That was the last one we did. They had only given us like between it was either 45 minutes or an hour, so it's like, well, we can't run any of our big stuff because our big stuff takes a while. So I'd only brought our shorter like scripts, but then the scripts were actually too short, and we actually ran way under time because we just ran out of stuff to do. And then after that, I had considered, I think that was 2021. And part of that issue was, that was the day I got robbed too. I was on the train with the scripts and everything heading there, and I had set my stuff on the seat because I was tired of carrying shit. And a dude walked up and grabbed everything that I had off the seat and ran off the train. And I had to fucking chase him down. I got everything back because the dude was stupid enough to deny stuff in front of a police officer while holding my phone that I then called and it rang inside his fucking coat. But I think he threw my fucking I had a portfolio with a bunch of scripts in it, and I think he threw that away while he was running. So yeah, I ended up losing those scripts. I had to go back home and print them out again, and then come back to the convention to do this panel that we ended up not having to do the full time on because, holy shit, I was stupid and didn't time out the fucking things. PAX South, yes, that was the last. COVID destroyed that one. I think they were about to end it anyways, but yeah, COVID was 2020 was the last year PAX South happened. I think that was right after your breakup, and I had suggested we go to, help you feel better. I actually don't remember much about that. I remember I went as Santa Claus to that PAX South. That's the main thing I remember from that. And that we used some kind of spray on my... They need to make another... Chacho's was fucking amazing. Chacho's is a local San Antonio Tex-Mex joint who just made the biggest fucking platters of nachos you could ever believe in your goddamn life. It was like PAX East once had one of the worst travels there. So PAX East is in Boston, isn't it? Or am I thinking of PAX West? I'm terrible at maps, so I have no idea what state anywhere is except the ones I've visited. Yeah. East is Boston, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. West is Seattle. That makes sense as well. Yeah, no. What was I saying? The farthest I ever traveled was for... Wait, hold on. I have to go to this video real quick. Rewind slightly. I thought I saw someone familiar. Am I still running at... Oh, I'm still running at 75 speed. Go back to normal. It was around here. Okay, yeah, this is kind of all over the place, but where did I see that guy? I gotta fucking scrub through and try to find this guy again. I can see what cons are up here. Anime Wisconsin. I saw a guy over to the right here wearing glasses that looked like Nile Red, the YouTuber, like the chemistry YouTuber. This guy right here. Okay, that's not him, but he looked a little like a YouTuber. Sorry, he looked a little like YouTuber I watch. Anyways, I've not spotted us in any of these yet, but I haven't been paying super attention. Um, what was I even talking about? My brain is fucking gone right now. Yeah, Chachos. Chachos made these huge fucking like you would get them in a to-go box, and they would weigh like 5 pounds for one meal, and they were only like $20 per meal. It was like I actually went last time I went to uh, the anime convention that's held at that place. I forget what it's called. I went. I'm sure places that have closed. Oh yeah. Um, well, I ain't pouring out one for fucking the Irving Convention Center food because that still exists and it's still some of the worst goddamn food I've had in my life. What's this? Is this the Fighting Gold from JoJo? Yeah, no, all I remember last time I got food there, I got their fucking pizza. I got a fucking pepperoni pizza. Didn't have any fucking pepperonis on it, so it was just a fucking cheese pizza. And it was some of the worst cheese pizza I've had in my goddamn life. And you have to fuck up hard. No, not the crap place. For example, I hated the place that Route 2 at San Diego Comic Con. Oh, we have a fucking Dick's Last Resort here too. Funky Garcia in San Diego. What's the big place, the big local place in Dallas? It's not really a convention food spot, though we did go. Though we did go after one convention, is a Serious Pizza. Not the best pizza in the world, but big fucking pizza. They would do. If you got their largest pizza, I think it was about. Evie, how big was it? Was it like 36 inches in diameter? I think. I remember I couldn't fit it in my fridge. Here's some bootleg anime DVDs. And they had like calzones that were about the size of footballs. Now it was Wario's Beef and Pork by the Convention Center, which is a very funny name still. Nice. So I'd always fit inside your truck that time. Yes. Yes, I do remember that. I had to it didn't fit in my truck. The full box did not fit in my fridge. I had to take it out and put it inside other containers to fit it in there. So, yeah. Serious Pizza was one of the big ones for us. We never really had like food spots we went to. Ooh, this is Acon 22. This would be this would be like 2011. Oh my god. I like the huge quality dip that just happened in this video. Sorry, my mind's all over the place right now. Oh yeah, I haven't been to a convention since New Panty and Stocking aired. Or like, I've been to like trade shows, but I haven't been to any conventions yet. Oh yeah, there's an Outlaw Star one. I have that character hanging up on the wall right above this screen. An animation cell of him that I got for $60. And I think nowadays would probably sell for like 200. Of course, nothing beats my fucking Vampire Hunter D animation cell that I got for $75, and I saw the same animation cell sell on Heritage auctions for $450. Well, not the same scene cell. Oh god. God, 2011, that would have been right when we were starting to do Shiotaku Sei, which, secret about those panels, after the first one, every single panel we did had a subtitle, and every single subtitle was a name of a World Championship Wrestling show. The main one I remember is the first one that we did at the Hilton Anatole was called Shototaku Says Sold Out with SOULED, which is the name of an old pay-per-view that WCW used to do. Because I had control of all that, and I wanted to name it whatever I wanted to name it. Oh, if this is 2011, this is also like a couple years after, what is it? New Year's Eve with Gigantic Pizza. Another place I missed. Oh, my feet are cramping up. This would be a couple years after Final Fantasy VII Advent Children came out. This is probably around the time Advent Children Complete Edition came out on like DVD. So that's probably part of the reason you're seeing a lot of like Final Fantasy VII characters in here. Of course, there's always Final Fantasy VII cosplayers. There have been since like the 90s, but I remember there's a huge resurgence around this time. Along with Bleach, I actually did. AC still canon? I actually don't know. Because AC is after the story. So... and the new story hasn't ended yet, so we can't definitively say it's still canon yet. Oh, I think that girl in the yellow dress, that was a Orin High School Host Club one. Even at this point, I think an Orin High School Host Club cosplay would be considered starting to become retro, because I think that would be like 5 years old at this point, because I remember watching that in high school with your first girlfriend, Evie. The main story that like pops out to me when I think about these conventions, the like 2009, 2010 conventions was one year we went there and we did not have a hotel room, but we did want to stay there because the next day we were having like no, this was even before we were doing panels. This was probably 2009 then. We went there, we did not have a hotel room, and we procrastinated on finding some kind of living accommodations, some like night accommodations. And I was being a dickhead, and I basically told you, go find something. I'm tired of us procrastinating. And I sat down and read a book for a while you went to talk to somebody. And the person you ended up talking to and getting a room with for us ended up being someone I already knew and was already friends with, just didn't know he was there. And I probably could have talked to them as well and figured out a place for us to stay. Which I thought was funny, that like, yeah, I admit I was being a dickhead back then, but I was a dickhead back then. I don't even know what I was mad about. I was just not happy. Because I was like fucking 19 years old. I was a fucking moody teenager. With stunted emotional growth. Yeah, that was probably it. That was before like we really knew that overstimulation was like a big thing that could happen to anybody. Let's see. Yeah, like at God, first convention I ever went to though was in 2004. It was held at a mall over 2 days. It was held at the, and I can go and say this because the place doesn't exist anymore. It was held at the Richardson Square Mall. It was called It's a Con. And yeah, they held it at a tiny little place at their like little event space there. The mall's been closed for over 15 years at this point. So like the event space probably has already been converted. You didn't elbow Adam Savage because of simulation. Drake, do you want to tell that story? I don't. I've never heard it. Or is that the whole story? Ah, okay. God, I'm trying to think like the rudest of. I think I already told the story of the rudest I ever was to a. See you, Evie. I think the rudest I was before you go, Evie. I told the story earlier about insulting Quentin Flynn like while I was walking behind him earlier. I think that was the rudest I ever was to a like celebrity. Anyways, have a good night. God. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Dealer walkthrough in part 3 or 4. God. Sorry, I'm trying to get my mind back in focus. All of my celebrity meetings have been pretty decent. I've met David Hayter a few times. That he's always fucking cool to meet. I met Steve Bloom for the first time actually like a few months ago. Like he would appear at conventions, but his booth was all his like signing booth was always like a line of over 100 people, and like I didn't want to wait in those lines, but I just happened to be at a show a few months ago where like it was actually the show where the original voice actress for Sailor Moon was, and he had the booth right next to her. And unfortunately her booth wasn't ever super busy. There were a decent amount of people that visited it, but it wasn't ever like all at once. It was like she would just have like a very like consistent trickle of people come by. So I kind of like stood around, chatted with her a bit, and his was right next door. By the way, she's fantastic. I forget her name. I know her first name's Terry. I don't want to say Terry Doty because I think that's another person. Now I gotta look it up. Sailor Moon Terry Hawks. That's who it was. Original dub actress for Sailor Moon, or not the first one, but the one that was in most of the episodes. Yeah, hung out with her for a bit. Kind of talk shop. very nice Canadian lady. But right next to her was Steve Bloom, and like honestly, it was getting to like the last couple hours of the show, and he only had like 10 people in his line at that point. So it's like, fuck it. After I was done talking to her, I hopped over to his line, got my got mine and my friend CS's cheapsteaks copy of Digimon Tamers DVD signed by him, because he played Guilmon and the main villain in that. Main villain was, of course, him using his Steve Bloom voice, which obviously, but Guilmon was like a very unique voice. I remember that. Other than that, like, God, I think the worst celebrity encounter I had was probably Bret Hart when I went to a wrestling convention. And it wasn't because like either was like super rude or anything. It was just like he was completely uninterested in being there, which I can actually kind of understand, because, you know, he's a fucking famous person famous Canadian having to be in Dallas, Texas, probably already there doing stuff for WWE, which he hates. But yeah, when I went to get stuff signed by him, which I got a replica belt and a turnbuckle pad, which I ended up selling. So but I still do have the belt. But he didn't even look at me when he signed it. He was talking to somebody next to him, and he did that really quickly, signed both of them, and gave it back to me. I think he maybe glanced at me once, but never like talked to me by name or said anything to me. Just signed it and moved on. I think that was the worst interaction I had. Yeah. Anybody I met at like Fan Expo was super nice. I remember I met the actors for Megatron and Optimus Prime. I made one of them cry, which was not which made me feel bad, but it wasn't something like I didn't insult him or anything. I just brought up unfortunate memories. Because I asked about what the fuck's his name? Guy who played Shaggy on Scooby-Doo. Famous radio host. God. It's like right on the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember it, and it's bugging me. Casey Kasem, thank you. Yeah, I brought up a question about Casey Kasem, and you could tell his mood kind of fell. And he told some good stories about him, but like you can tell that he was still kind of broken up about that, and I felt really fucking bad. Fan Expo's always been kind of weird. Like, I didn't start going to those until like, God, like until like 2018, 2019. So I was already in my late 20s by the time I started going to those. But yeah, let me read out a few more stories here. Let's see, how old are these? 2017, damn. Okay, let's see. Okay, so this is user Chinasagawa. From cosplay.com. I'd have to say the worst thing to ever happen to me at a con was this one really out of shape guy, you know, the ones everyone pictures when someone says anime, with an Equalizer shirt on, who came up to me, I'm very short and tiny, and was like, practically breathing on my neck, and said, "I love Konata. Can I have a hug?" And I was like, and he wrapped his arms around me. All I could do was look at my friend and mouth, "Help me." This scared me terribly. Sadly, it was my first ever con, but luckily it didn't scare me away. Yeah. A lot of the stories there, a lot of the stories of cosplayers at 2000s conventions are stories of, I had a good time, but this person fucking hugged me when I didn't want them to. They tried to ask me out. They hit on me. They said inappropriate things. Just time after time after time after time of just like people acting the worst they can possibly be. And I think that is kind of what highlights those eras. And like, I'm nostalgic of those kind of like walking around those conventions, but I don't fucking miss it. I don't miss playing a game. Oh, God. I hate this. I'm only going to say this once because I hate the fucking name. Played a version of Duck Duck Goose that was called Juju Nazi. And God, I hate the fact that I fucking did that. I hate the fact that it was a thing. I hate the fact that I joined along with it. At the time, I think I was like 15, 16 maybe. Probably old enough to know that I shouldn't be playing a game involving fucking Jews and Nazis, but God, I was a stupid fucking teenager. That's a nice jacket. I want something like that. But yeah, no, it was the era of free hugs and inappropriate touching. I know that that's out in the 2010s that started to fucking fall. I'm so glad it did. Alright, I'm gonna read this one. I think it's gonna be my last one of the night. Because this takes place at A-Kon. Which one's this one? This was A-Kon 22. This one takes place at A-Kon 21 in Dallas. It's from user Lithium Flower. Ladies and gentlemen, skinning it out, I'll tell you a tale I know nothing about. Being cute about it. This one's free, so pay at the door, now pull up a chair. So, God, I hate cutesy shit like that. Once upon a time at A-Kon 21 in Dallas, Texas, my friend Manny worked security at several conventions and was getting my friend and I tickets as part of a here's a whole crap ton of extras for you perk he got for donating his time and manly madness to A-Kon. However, problems arose and he wasn't going to make it the first day at all. Knowing my friend had flown it from Orlando to come, he was so kind and noble to wire us money over money to get our tickets. The problem was the place we were picking it up at, seedy, nasty, farty smelling corner store in the downtown area close to convention center. The store was about wide enough to fit 4 people standing next to each other and fairly long. There was a wall of lighters behind fogged and scratched glass with a lot of scratch offs on the wall. They're basically just talking about a corner market. That's just how they are here. It was probably a gas station that had a guy that just ran it like a fucking stand. Talking about it like it's some kind of uniquely bad place, but like there's one of those down the road from me right now. There's fog, scratch on the wall, run by a couple of mafia-esque looking. God, what is? It doesn't say what year this thread is from, but this sounds like someone trying to tell a story from like fucking like 2012, trying to be like a Redditor. Run by a couple of mafia-esque looking fellows with greasy hair and a lot of gold chains. It was not like a CVS / 7-Eleven / average train drugstore. It was dank and stinky, and clearly not at all a place for 2 barely legal young ladies to be alone in. Problem 2 was that we were both in costume. My friend was the Mad Hatter and me as Alice. Driving through downtown Dallas through stinky ghetto-ness areas to this nasty little nothing of a corner store. I'm fairly sure that they thought we were some kind of prostitutes. At the time, the guy claimed that there were our fee to withdraw. Manny had told us he paid this already, but frankly, this was not the man to argue with, and we were desperate to get out, so I paid it. Later, when I told Manny he had a fit and was Sorry, saw something. Manny was told they already from them. Later, I told Manny he had a fit and was going to call up the place since they'd ripped us off. Hardly by much, but as he put it, what if you hadn't had the extra $2 on you at the time? And I know he was looking out for us. Still creepy ghetto money. This isn't even a convention story. This is just like going to a fucking weird. Oh, yeah, stuff like that. In this video up here is like kind of stuff you'd see at conventions. I hope he asked permission before doing that. I'm guessing since she's posing, he did, but... Yeah, this is... I guess without sound, it's probably looking a bit worse, but this is a very, like, weird interaction. I can kind of tell that... God, okay. Anyways, yeah. Sorry, this was just kind of... We're showing those days, yeah. God. Yeah, that's another big thing of this, of like this kind of late 2000s, early 2010s era was the just ludicrous cosplays that some people would wear. That's nice USS Enterprise. Yeah, I remember one of the big cosplays when Naruto was still the big thing, before it had even become Naruto Shippuden, was girls dressed as sexy Naruto, basically wearing nothing but bikinis and like fake clouds. And that was a costume you saw a lot. You would see that, you would see camis like that other one, but usually the green variant, the more famous variant. I know she's not skimpy, but I know Taukaka, whatever her name is from BlazBlue, the cat girl, was a big popular one back in the day. God, if this is 2011, then what were the big cosplays then? Because big animes were Naruto, Bleach. One Piece hadn't gotten its foothold yet, so it wasn't a big thing. Hey, some Castle Crashers. Yeah, Naruto and Bleach. Oh, they're right there. Fucking Yoko Littner from Gurren Lagann. She was all over the goddamn place. Still see minimum clone cosplays from time to time at the big cons. Yeah. It kind of comes in waves. Like, back then it was just like a lot of girls, and it was especially like down here in Dallas, I'm sure over there in California, where it's fucking hot out. This convention was held in June, like sometimes early June, sometimes mid to late June, but it was like fucking hot. People were in conventions all day. I saw one in the last con was like, I think you have to wear some kind of skin covering. Who was it, Mio? But yeah, or oh god, are those Italias? Probably. Italia was the scourge back in the day too. It was don't recall. Okay. Yeah, it was Italia was a big one. Before like Trolls took over, the worst cosplayers were the Italia cosplayers. And along with them, the Oran High School Oran High School Host Club cosplayers. Okay, this is 2012 Anime Fest. Let's see. It's weird to be dressed like this all-age thing, but on the other, like the modern censorship way. Yeah, the bikini top and all in very much below. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's just due to like some of the modern fighting games and hero shooters, like Marvel Rivals is. I'm more just like, I figure they should have rules on how much skin can display at cons. If it's like an all ages con, yeah, there's probably, and I know some like around here have limitations of like, hey, like you can show your belly, you can show your bare legs, but like if you wear bottoms, they have to like cover your entire bottom. And if you wear like a top, you cannot like have cleavage. You cannot like wear a bikini top that shows cleavage. Oh god, this would be beginning of the 2012. This would be beginning of the pony era, probably, considering the yeah. Yep, there's a pony. This would be beginning of the pony era, which means also the beginning of the troll era. Yeah, this is after they moved to Atlantis. Hey, it's an adipose from Doctor Who. Entire Doctor Who table. Wow, that's how popular it was at that point. It was like you could have an entire booth dedicated to one show, and they were probably pretty successful that day. I never did a panel at Otaku Cafe. Those guys are San Antonio based. San Antonio is where PAX South and that other convention where Chacho's is. That guy's really cool. Good friends with him. Still talk to him every once in a while. Probably haven't contacted him in like 5 years, but oh no, that's not true. I probably talked to him in like 2022 last time I went to that convention over in San Antonio. But really cool guy. Always has that figure panel up. I don't think he comes to Dallas anymore because it's a pain in the ass to drive from San Antonio to Dallas. It's like a 4-hour drive. Yes, they one of their oh, you're getting banned. Bam. There we go. God, how do I get rid of this? There we go. Miku. This would probably be like right when Miku was starting to become a thing. So all the Miku art would just be like the one official Miku like pose from that like thing there, and like that was it. Those guys with the pachinko machines still run to this day. I actually have that card. They're called Pachinko Festival, and I have that card sitting on my desk right now. I'm literally holding it. They would always have an Evangelion machine. They would have a Ace Attorney machine and a Cowboy Bebop machine. And then they would have some others that they would cycle in. I think they're also San Antonio based, and they would just come up to Dallas every once in a while. Usually for Anime Fest, but Anime Fest's not here anymore, so it doesn't matter. And at this point, I'm just kind of rambling, but I enjoy seeing some of the old. Oh, that's fucking lovely. That was straight up just a Nazi booth. What the fuck was that? Like, hold on. What the fuck was that? Hold on. I want to go back to this real quick. Okay, those are straight up just like Nazi armbands. Those are fucking Nazi uniforms. And this guy is straight up just goddamn dressed like a goddamn Nazi. What the fuck were we back in those days? This stuff I don't fucking miss at conventions. This is stuff that I'm glad is banned now. Because holy shit. I just did not expect to see that. It's fucking next to a booth selling goddamn plushies of fucking Mario and Yoshi. Like little backpacks. There's a goddamn Nazi booth. I think, you know what? I think that's what I'm going to end on. It's just like, this is peak this era. This is the transformation from the old era to the new era. I think 2015 would say what I would call like the year that like things had officially become like cosplay is not consent was finally like becoming the standard rule. Uh, Booths had like a standard layout. They were starting to really crack down on people doing dumb shit, which dumb shit still happens. And it still happened back then too, but people had stopped fucking doing glomping, thank fucking god. And they banned paddles, which is always great. That's actually a good Liara cosplay. Too bad Mass Effect kind of fell off due to Andromeda, but I do miss the kind just the vibe of like old era conventions, but I think the positives of the newer one kind of outweigh the negatives, especially of like how people used to just act. And I've said that several times now, but I I don't I don't miss the kind of stuff that we saw here. So, yeah, thanks for hanging out during this like just random ass chat, just talking about old conventions most of the time. I was really planning on this to be like convention horror stories, but this mostly ended up being reminiscing about old conventions. And yeah, this Friday we're gonna be starting Spooky Month. I'm gonna be playing some itch.io games I downloaded. And yeah, every week we're going to be playing some form of horror or Halloween themed game. So look forward to that. Thanks, guys.